Hey, tech nerds. This is Jeff with Guitar Center Professional North Florida, and this is my first podcast. That's right. And it's called Bringing the Band Back Together. And for me, I wanted to bring my band back together, and that was with Mr. Eric Raber. Many of you may or may not know who Eric is, but I am honored to welcome Emmy nominated sound engineer with a career spanning over 2 decades of film and television industry. He was born in Washington State. I don't think it matters what day. Either. Eric was born in Washington State. His passions for sound led to notable projects such as Friends with Money, The Air I Breathe, and the critically acclaimed series Homeland. And his exceptional work on Homeland earned him multiple Emmy nominations, highlighting his expertise in sound design. Beyond his professional achievements, Eric's journey is deeply personal, and as a friend and a privilege of standing as a groomsman at his wedding, and our shared experiences at the Art Institute of Seattle, our beloved Art Institute, that was fraudulent.
Yeah.
But we took away some knowledge and put it towards a career, right? And I think we could say that a lot of people there that got the knowledge didn't. And so I applaud all those that stuck to it and went through those free times or when you had to work for free. But we no longer work for free.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah. Eric is an inspiration to me as a friend and to many, many other people, especially those about to watch this podcast, and you'll see why. Can you, well, I guess maybe we should go back into the background of sound design and notable projects. The Art Institute of Seattle, a lot of people can talk what you want to talk about it, but I learned a lot of colleagues, Owen Strain is one of them too. I talked to him recently. You know who? You remember Owen?
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
Ginger hair guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's still in the industry too, and we've created so many great connections, and we still care for each other as friends, and it's an honor to have you on the show, man. I do have a.
Me, man.
Thanks, man. I do have a list of questions for you about your journey in sound design. Can you share what sparked your interest in sound design and pursued this passion of yours?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things. We've talked about this before, and I've always been a sound guy. Just always been into creating sound in the world and expressing through hitting a tree as a kid and making, kind of sound design already, annoying at times. But yeah, so I mean, really until I went to the Art Institute, I thought I wanted to be a rock star or an engineer just for bands or, do those types of things. And through the opportunities there, like doing sound for animation or redoing sound for a short clip of a film, and several of the teachers, I wish I could name them all, but like just so many inspirational people there that kind of, I mean, I went there not knowing any technology really at all. Like I was just like, I'm creative technology. And a lot of the teachers like, okay, cool. Like, but you're going to learn this and if you want to be creative, you're going to have to learn to use this technology to your benefit. And so many amazing people inspired me there really to kind of think outside the box of what's possible. Because again, I went to the Art Institute thinking, being a sound engineer will be a backup to a rock star career. That's kind of where my headspace was still kind of at. And I'm grateful that I followed this career, and been doing it, this year, like post-production, 21 years, like, so that's a long time, to be in one kind of profession But yeah, so that's, I could go on probably way more, but that's kind of where I started.
Well, there's no time limit. We're not the normal media here. So, but I can name off some people: Kevin Bressler, Stephen Barsotti, Jim Rivers,
Yes.
Jake
Yes.
Perrine. Who else? Dave Christensen. I think
Yeah.
that's about it.
Yes.
Oh, dude, we can't forget Tom Faffel.
Oh, hell yeah, Tom Faffel.
Yeah.
Yes, dude. I mean, yeah, all those dudes. Great memory, by the way. That's you have a great memory.
Thank you.
You're like an elephant.
I was going to try to say something funny, but I stayed. Okay, I'm an elephant. I gotta remember that's the memory of an elephant.
Yes, yes, not the member.
Body parts of an elephant.
Exactly. So yeah, man, I'm so grateful to people that poured their love in, during that time is like, a lot of personalities, our audio production and all the people we were around, like the people making their own outfits and all, like the vibe there at the Art Institute was something special of like, dude, we're doing something, man. Like,
man.
People were focused, like, it wasn't just like, we're here to around. We're like, we've around. We're ready to do some. That's what it felt like.
I was right there with you. I knew I wanted to be there, but I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember just trying to figure out the signal flow of that Mackie Mix 8 bus. And just when it finally clicked of how the routing went, it was like, I feel that once you find out, or once you figure out routing, internal,
Yes.
external, whatever, that it's a game changer. Wait a minute, an auxiliary goes into here, but then it comes out to here, and then and then there's multiple, man, like, and then it just translates to every mixer that you have, or every mixer that's in front of you, and you have your input, and then you have your output. Going through this, the interview's not about me, but like on a technical level, you use it as like a stream of water analogy. The gain is the gate, and well, there's gates, and anyway. On to your work. Sorry for the long pause there. I'll probably edit some of this out. During the Art Institute of Seattle, everybody that went through the program had, and I thought one of the great things about it was that your general ed classes, like your history class, you could use your major to, instead of having to write a paper. Did you experience any of that where you were able to create an audio piece on your history class?
I don't remember that exactly.
That's right. I'm the elephant, not you.
Exactly. Exactly. Dude, you just like, I'm trying to sit here and remember all this stuff, but there was a lot of teachers that were super, like, classes that probably, like, I kind of went into thinking this is going to be boring as heck. And teachers found a way to make that exciting because it was like, hey, oh, listen, like, you want to do live shows? You want to be part of the band? Like, inspirational stuff where you're like, this is real. We had, all these opportunities of, like, what could be presented to us, and that's what inspired people, is like how, what inspires me the most. Is it live sound? Is it game audio? Is it, and for me personally, that's, back to the one of the things that inspired me the most is doing sound to moving pictures. Like, that's really, it was like, damn, this is as close as you can get to being in a band kind of thing.
Yeah, I was fascinated with sound design too. I'm sure you did the same project with Barsotti, where the sound design class where you had to redo that movie Blade Runner.
I didn't do Blade Runner.
No.
It was
You had a different video to do, but it was.
Yeah, I don't remember. Of course, you remember. You probably remember. It's like minute 3:42 to
I wouldn't go that
6:06.
I don't have the time now. No.
That's awesome, though, man. I mean, shoot.
I don't know how I have the memory, honestly. Well, it was just the fascination of being able to go out, and it was really fun just to go out into town and take a device with you, ADAT recorder and a microphone, and just go out and record sounds. I remember taking my stuff home and recording the back of my fan, and then taking the waveform and clipping it, and it has this really nice low end to it, to making music that way organically. Earlier before the show, you had your Tibetan bowls on, trying to calm me down from all my technical stresses, and those all just kind of made us who we are. All those types of projects.
I mean, being like an explorer. It's like that to me. That place made me remember, like, childlike almost. It's like, be like a kid. Don't pretend you know, like, it's technical, but don't get caught up on this technical. Like, use it. Don't get so excited about the tool. Like, utilize the tool to do cool stuff, not just get to, like, that was what I got from a lot of these teachers, is like, be inspired by, like, don't just the ones and zeros, that's not all it is. Like, even if that excites you, because there's plenty of engineers that the ones and zeros really excite the shit out of them.
They named their first kid binary.
Yeah, it's maybe listen.
That's not a good one. That's not a good name.
And I'm grateful for all of them, man. We need, in this business, that's what's cool, is there's room for all of us, for all of the different types of personalities, different things we like to do. It's a pretty wide array. Yeah,
the art of it too is pretty awesome. At, being able to create something out of nothing. I'm sure you had plenty of experiences doing that in your career. So, what was your first gig when you got out of college? How did you get connected with them in the first place? Was it
through the Art Institute? So
Matt Shaw.
It was through
Matt
the
Shaw, right?
Yes, exactly. Matt Shaw, and he called me down and was like,
Rest
"Hey,
in peace,
like,
Matt.
Rest in peace, Matt." So he was such a badass dude.
Dude, I could tell you some stories, bro. Like, he went in there and he turned the monitors up so high and put his face right in there, and you're like, dude, your ears got to be like blown, man. I think they were, but
you probably, like most of our, we're probably now our ears probably aren't as sharp as they were back when we were.
Do elephants have good hearing? I think they do.
Yeah.
I had an exam, and dude, we can't afford for our ears to not work. Right? Because
it's scary getting like an ear infection or like a sinus stuff. Like, dude, it's gnarly.
Dude, one year I started mixing now with chewing gum. Just trying to get the mandible moving and my earwax kind of out of the way.
Smart.
Yeah. I started mixing live that way. Just trying to listen out for feedback and so on and so forth. But back to your first project. So you got out of college, you got some connections. Where did you go? Obviously you went to California, but
so I went to California. There was this place called Widget Post Production.
Oh, that's right.
And it was the lady, I redid the sound at the Art Institute for Terminator 2.
Right.
And so redid the sound for the first 3 minutes, something like that. And had this lady who did a talk for the Art Institute, like, she came in to talk about post-production, kind of Foley and all sorts of different stuff. Asked her to review it. She listened to it, gave me some feedback. Didn't hear anything from her. The next morning, Matt Shaw calls me, go down there. She's like, "Hey, do you want to come run coffee for me?" And You know, like I'll teach you anything you want to learn down there. I'll make sure you get into it if you come down and just kill it. And so I went down and I did. I ran coffee, did the night shift, doing digital transfers, you know, like all sorts of digibetas, you know, 35 millimeter. So I had to learn a shit ton of stuff. But yeah, so that's kind of what got me down in LA. Ann Slack, give a shout out to her. She was like a sister inspiration to me. But yeah, I got down to LA and I just immediately grinded in. I mean, sleep in the car at times, like sleep there, like doing shifts, you know, the night shift and during the day editing sound, like learning sound. Because when you start, it's not just like here, like, you know how to edit sound, like here's your gig. It's kind of like I had to learn for free for quite a while, you know, or be, you know, paid for a few, but know it's going to take me a week of time. So I was dedicated, doing 7 days a week to make sure I could get up to speed because the door was open. And so it was like, hey, like I might run coffee at times, but I'm also going to edit sound. And pretty quickly, within, I mean, probably like 3 months, I got a gig and, you know, doing on, like I was showing stuff and kind of like not really on a show. And it was GodSmack, like a kind of a documentary type of deal. And they needed like some crowd sounds and some pyrotechnics. And so it was like just the sounds for that kind of stuff and a few other things. But it wasn't much. But it was like low risk. They could put me on something that didn't need like some crazy sound designer, right? Like it's like if they would have put me on some zombie film at first, it would have been like, how do I do this thing? So they protected me.
How much different was it when from Art Institute to being in real world studio?
Was
it just
similar,
more intimidating, or was it just different
more
gear, or what?
Different gear, like way more digital. I would say, like in terms of, they were really heavy. The place I went to was Pro Tools.
I mean, we were at Pro Tools 4, I think. Pro Tools 4.
When we were at
Art Institute.
It was pretty. I mean, it was
13 now.
Yeah, and it's changed dramatically, you know, and some for the better. Some people don't like some of the changes, but I don't bitch about that kind of stuff. I just
personally don't like all the auto things where it tries to think for you. It's kind of cool, but it's annoying too. We're like a lot of Appleseas.
Yeah. So it just is what it is. But yeah, I use the tool to create, and I love that about it.
Your work on Homeland earned you multiple Emmy nominations. Can you discuss the creative process behind that project? How'd you get connected with that show?
So I was working at Sony, kind of just getting into the Sony vibe there, and you know I did a few other shows, and kind of they're like, all right,
Widget, you went
yeah,
to Sony?
Well, so Widget, there was another few companies, like I did this crowd sweetening thing. Like there was another few like companies, Post Haste Sound, which bought Widget, and so it was Widget but not Widget. So I ended up working for them. Then I worked for, kind of really put in my dues in those places to like get the chops up. And I had a lot of mentors be like, "Hey, dude, like use that time wisely. You don't want to come to the big leagues and not be able to swing for home runs." And so I'm glad I did, because when I wanted to come into the big leagues, I wouldn't have been ready and I might have not made it. I might, like my wasn't up to par. It was good and it was raw, but it needed to be like, and Homeland, back to Homeland, that's the supervisor and the mixer. The guys were just really great mentors, is like getting me to think even more outside of the box than I had ever thought about, is like the real details and psychological things that sound can bring. And organization wise, like, I was organized, but just super creative and sometimes not perfectly organized. And I mean, this guy got me color coding, these tracks are the guns, so they're red. They're always red on these tracks. These tracks are green, so it's like, and keep the color coding, keep the tracks. So he can he's like, don't you want your to sound good? So he's like, if you do these things, I can make your sound better because I have more time and I can recognize and we get in the groove of what it is. But so he grinded me, dude. Like there was times him and I were like, you mother, it's hard to grow sometimes. When you like feel you've arrived and someone's going, cool, yeah, that's cool, man, but you got a ways to go, bud. You're like, all right, let's dig in. So I chose to dig in with him, and digging in with him, he helped us get those Emmy nominations.
Speaking of that, I think a lot of the tech nerds out there would be a little shocked, or maybe they don't use file management or naming their tracks. But could you talk a little bit about the importance of naming your track and coloring?
Oh my goodness. It is so huge to be super organized. It's like, like for instance, like I have a whole flow of different things that I do is like, the first few tracks are doors, and then the next few tracks, like I pretty much will keep only doors on those tracks. Sometimes I might move things around. Every mixer's different. So every mixer has a different, but the importance of naming is keeping for organization and always thinking, like, say if I'm the editor doing the sound design, maybe I'm not mixing it. And I learned this at the Art Institute. Back to the Art Institute, I'll keep giving them shout outs, is how, like, you want to write
really
your shit down.
Instructors, bro.
Is our instructors, yes. Yeah. So it's like you want to be able to write your instructions down. If you died today, someone could come in and continue your session.
It was like how we had for every project, we had to have all our session notes, and basically every project, every big project
pictures.
That you turned in, it had to be pictures, what you did, what EQ moves you made, why did you do it, where did you record it at, all of this information. So where I still have those books too somewhere, and you can hand off the book and go, this is how I did this project. And there was no way to fake it that you got it from somewhere else, and especially with today's
that
AI.
Mindset, dude.
Yeah,
that mindset is rare. It's all saying that is rare.
Sounds kind of logical to me, but
it's thinking so holistically and simple, because a lot of times we get like creative people, we get these grand ideas and we're throwing paint and it's beautiful. It's like, wow. Like this mixer brought me and is like, wow, this sounds amazing, but your organization, man, look at this. And like, he's like, look at this.
Tastes great,
look at
but
this.
This kitchen is messy, man.
Yeah, exactly. Where you're like, dude, can you just clean up a little? Like, and so I cleaned it up, and it took a while because that side of my brain, the technical aspect, I can use it and I'm good at it and I figured it out, but like I am just a creative kind of person. Like the engineering aspect is the part that excites me as much as like creating and being in the moment with a musician, with creating sound design, whatever it is. That's the part that excites me. So yeah, I mean,
it's an adrenaline rush, man. Even when I finish a podcast, editing the audio, or when I get done with this video, or when I've done reels and stuff like that, it's definitely a rush. It's just this special feeling that you get, accomplishing something. I call it sorry, babe. Yeah. I'm going into creative mode. I need some time. And
I know that mode.
What are you talking about? Yeah. I'm like, I'm in creative mode. I'm so happy right now. It's probably some of the happiest moments of my life when I'm in creative mode. You've done TV in movies, what is the difference? So you have projects like Friends with Money and The Air I Breathe. How did that differ from your TV experience with Homeland? What was the differences?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely differences. Bigger budgets for film, more time, more availability to kind of like really listen and to get the exact every little thing that you want. I made that time, you know, in Homeland. Like I went way above and beyond, you know, without incriminating myself through the union. I didn't work for free.
I swear.
Don't look at the wink.
Oh, you're still in the union, right?
But
yeah.
Yes, I am. So
we can bleep that out.
But yeah, man, it's I mean the work on both of them is so different because it's maybe a bad analogy, but I look at it as like, you know, film is like a nice glass of wine where it's, you know, you take your time and you smell it and you just kind of go. And doing TV, sometimes it's more like, you know, shotgunning a beer where it's like you got to just run and gun and make choices so much faster. So doing television, your decision making gets really sharp and like trusting your intuition and just bam, bam, like choosing the right sound. I mean, there's no right sound, obviously, we know that, but like that in your mind, the right sound you want to put on canvas type of deal, like it becomes really sharp. And I would say more than I needed it to be when I was doing film more, even though I was doing a lot of indie films and, you know, things like that. There was still more time to kind of think about more things.